Oh boy. Whew. Almost set up. Alright. I think I have everything I need. So I'm trying something a bit different today. I set up the stream so that everybody can watch, but only members can talk in the chat. So if you have any specific thoughts on that, feel free to let me know. Before I'm fully gloved up, I'll try to have to take these off. Just gonna get a cough drop. Apologies for the little delay. Everything decided to everything decided to nag me at the same time, so I'm sorry. Alright, so I think everything seems to be working. Hope the audio is working as well. And again, with these old palette restoration kind of videos, feel free to let me know if there is any particular sounds that are unpleasant. I can't really tell for myself, so I rely on you guys to tell me. I've been working on this palette, not this part of it, but this part of it. Like the bottom part. And for now, what I'm thinking of doing is leaving the outside mostly original and only redo the interior, because it was really messed up. It was cracked in places, and the previous owner had already repainted like part of it to cover up for rust and everything, but without apparently without removing the rust first. So it came back. So I've been stripping the inside, and I haven't started on the mixing wells, but you can see this, like these are like repainted areas, and there was a big chunk of the bottom here that was like that. So yeah, I will try to work a bit more quietly, so it might be a bit more slow than what I would usually do. But I fully understand that sanding, scraping metal on metal sounds, they're not the best ones. So I'll work a bit more slow. But yeah, I have quite a few palettes on the way. It's a lengthy process, so it's kind of difficult to completely finish just one at a time. Especially since in the winter I can't really go outside to spray paint them, so what I would do in the winter is work on like getting them ready for spray paint. And now that the weather is getting to be a bit more decent outside, I will be able to start spray painting them again. So I need to get the parts that are almost ready for paint to be completely ready for paint. That's usually mostly just take some isopropyl alcohol and to make sure they're completely clean, that there's no dust left on them. And I found a good way to set up outside for painting. So yeah, the main issue outside is the wind. But I found a way. I found a small like pop-out tent that's for kids or pets. And I've found a way with dollar store stuff to like attach it to the ground so it doesn't lift off. And I'm using a cake table like that rotates, so that I can put the parts that I want to spray on it. I have to find a perhaps a better way to attach them to the table, the cake table. But so far, I think it's going to be empty pill containers and blue tack. And then I have my spray paint and all my protective gear for the spray paint. But the fact that I can spray paint them in that little tent outside means that I can also leave them there for a little bit so that they dry a bit better and I don't bring back the smell of paint, because I have to bring back the pieces right away to protect them from dust and bugs and whatnot. So that's what I'm going to test this year. Last summer it was like the first foray into this stuff, and it made me clearly see what could be improved. And now this year is trying to improve and like working on those observations, or from those observations rather. The main improvements that I have compared to last year, this little plastic box is one. The tray at the bottom is also one. The tray at the bottom is for cat litter. Like you leave this tray outside of a litter box, and when the cat comes out, they don't track litter everywhere. Most of it falls on this tray, but it works really well for this. And then the kind of little transparent-ish box is something that I sought out. But for like these little trays in here, they're repurposed from something else. The tools there, I've tried all sorts of things. These are just like, I think they're like a set of chisels. I have sandpapers, cotton swabs. So yeah, I'm trying stuff, but also learning as I go, because I never really did much time in the workshop. So there's a bunch of stuff that I don't know. I'm also trying some steel wool. But yeah, so far for stripping this kind of paint, it hasn't worked all that well. But yeah, I'm really, I decided to start working on this one because I kind of want to try it out. Like, it's a really fun palette that has a, like this folding palette. It's in two parts. So you have the folding palette here. That's like the top part of the whole palette. Like this is a mixing well. So like this. And then you have this other part to it where you can carry your brushes, your tubes. And it is not in too terrible a shape, so I'm not sure how I will sort it out. But yeah, I thought at least if I can make the inside of the like painting palette, you know, all clean, all good to go, that's already a good starting point. But I really like this palette design, and I'm excited to put it to the test. So I gotta finish this. Gotta get this good. So I think this bottom part of the palette is mostly done. I'm gonna have to do some work with a little rotary tool to sort of get most of the rust out. But I don't want to do that on live stream because the noise of that is really really not great. This part here under the it's not easy to get to. I might try with the some files for sending if I can perhaps get them under here, but I don't think I have. Probably be able to get there with some sandpaper actually. Like if I fold it up. There's a little bit in here that I'm trying to get to, but yeah, my transparent box is a little bit small, but all right, that's not bad. All right, so I will. Okay, I will try to get some things started on this part of it, but I don't know how the sound levels will be. I'm gonna try very slowly at first. I don't think that's too bad. Maybe if I sort of. Actually, I don't know if it picks it up. Okay, let me see if that picks up. All right, so if I don't talk at the same time, I don't think you can hear the steel wool. That's pretty cool. I'm not familiar with steel wool. I don't know if there's a point where you have to switch to a new one. I really wish they still made some of these old palettes. There's like so many of them that have really good designs. It's a bit of a shame that these are no longer made at all. And when they do re-release like a sort of a vintage looking palette, it's at a premium, you know. Like when I look at all the Schminke tins, there's not really any kind of feature on them that justifies the price point they are sold at. And I kind of hate too that all those metal palettes eventually rust. I know that aluminum is a bit more pliable, but I wonder why we don't see more designs that are possibly made from aluminum and perhaps a bit thicker, so it's less soft, you know, something that's at least in a material that would not rust. Now, I know that stuff like brass and aluminum, they're not magnetic, but still, it would be really interesting to have more options that are sort of commercially made and not necessarily at a huge price point, like a very high price point. If you guys remember the brass etcher palette, it's a really fun idea and everything, but the price point. Like, I don't know why companies have stopped making palettes like this one. And it's a great design. It's something that, you know, you want to spend some time into making sure you can keep it for a while, you know? The kind of standard palettes nowadays, like, you know, the metal ones that we see everywhere, they don't feel like anything special. They're oftentimes they're quite flimsy, they're quite like bendy, they will rust. So I'm like, why not have sort of a middle level option, you know? So as you can see, this one, even like now it is much smoother, but even like with the wool slowly removing the layer of paint here, it's still quite stained, and I'm pretty sure that under this layer of enamel we're gonna find some spots of rust and stuff like that. Like, I wonder if these probably are some of them. With a water-based paint like watercolor, you don't really want to have the rust anywhere near your paints or your palette. So sometimes if a vintage palette is in pristine shape but just stained a little bit, that I don't mind. But more often than not, sorry, there's rust somewhere in there, and that's a problem. It is a lot of patient and slow work, but I really like it. You can kind of see, I don't know if you can see, but here, the rust that kind of showed through the paint. And now that I stripped the paint, you still find the rust underneath. So that's got to be properly sorted out before I paint over it. Oops, that kind of picks up, sorry. And then something that works really well for stripping the paint is, I think sandpaper works better, but it might be a bit noisier. I'll try. It's a bit harder to maneuver as well. So, sound test. It kind of picks up, but... So yeah, this one is the coarsest grit I could find. It's the lower the number, the coarser the sandpaper. So this one is 60. It is designed with the intent of scraping off paint and stuff like that. Hello people in chat, hello. Or people watching the video, hi. I don't think there's been a member in the chat, so I don't know if this works. I could be like muted, or the audio could be not working since the beginning and I wouldn't know about it. That would be pretty bad. Shoot. Hold on. Sorry about that. I know, we still have a landline. We have to get rid of it, but yeah. Alright, sorry. I was just making sure I didn't get any kind of a notification telling me that the stream is not working or something, but I might open this up to everyone if it goes 1 hour without any kind of members joining. Okay, so let's try some things. I've put the chat on subscribers only. Hey, Paolo, hello. Can you hear me? I'll finally know if people can hear me. Sound and video are great. Aw. How's the scratchy noises? Are they bearable? I missed the T. Oh, from the start. Okay, good. It's everything. Okay, cool. Yay. Is there bearable, I guess? You're very quiet, and we're quiet as well when you were using the wool. Okay, okay, good to know, good to know. Because, I mean, I'm trying to keep them quiet, but I don't know just how well. I almost felt like a trespasser. I mean, I'm trying things. Usually it's the members only live stream, but there's not that many members, and it's a weekday stream, so not everyone is available to be there. So sometimes it's fun to open it up to people so that perhaps there's a bit more of a discussion going and perhaps something a little more interesting to watch on the replay. What have you been up to today, Paolo? Last week I also watched and was very surprised. Yeah, I don't know what happened last week. I thought I had set it up exactly like I usually do, but turns out that people were able to watch it. But I don't think I set it up so that like everyone could watch it. And I was like, I hope it's not a YouTube glitch. Oh, I don't think I would be punished for it if it was a glitch from them. Like, it's not something that I set up. But yeah, that's what made me realize last week that perhaps it could be interesting to have these be accessible to everyone. But then again, I don't know. Perhaps the members would prefer the really private chat. Like the chat, when everything is members only, the chat is indeed very private. But at the same time, anybody can become a member and rewatch these. So I don't know. There are other things I can work on aside from stripping the paint from this, so if there's ever a need to switch to something that's perhaps a little bit less noisy, I have options. I just did some work and there are things I'm actively avoiding doing. I don't mind you doing the palette. Okay, cool. Cool. I'm just saying, like, it's not, there's options. There's a couple of them that I know I will have to fix the, here the, sort of casings for the hinges thingy, like the wire that goes in there. There's some that these like cylinders are quite squished, are misshapen. So I'm gonna have to think of a way to fix them. I really don't know how I can do that though. I find it very soothing to watch you and listen to the sounds while I'm furiously programming. I think when the sounds are quite low, it's really not that bad. But yeah, I'm just one person, so. Regarding the aluminum pen boxes, I think they would be very expensive to make because dealing with aluminum... Oh, really? I didn't know that. That might be why it's not a common thing. I have one palette that's aluminum that I quite like, but yeah. You cannot cast it because the melting point... Oh, really? No. I'm so sorry. Sorry. Whew. Woo. You cannot cast it because the melting point is really high, and soldering it, it's also very high. I didn't know that. Interesting. Thank you. But it might be wrong. I have no idea. It's such a... Like, it's a sort of a ubiquitous metal because we find it a lot in like cans here. Not like soda cans, like drink cans. I also have the aluminum palette. Oh, I do too. But I'm not sure if it is really aluminum. What else do you think it would be? It's definitely not steel. The steel ones are super heavy, they rust really easily, and they cost like 2 arms and half a leg. I don't know, and I had the impression that someone complained the palette did rust, which I found odd. But I might be misremembering. I wonder if they were talking perhaps about one of the steel ones, because they look the same, and they're almost the same price, but the steel ones are really, really heavy, and they indeed do rust really easily. Like the any little chip in the enamel is gonna turn into rust. Sorry. But yeah, like they're aluminum and they're steel pallets. They look exactly the same. Oh, I did not know that they had a steel one. Yeah. I still have I think I kept 2 of the steel ones. Like the smaller ones. You can tell from the way they move and the feel of them that they're different. Like it's a different metal. They're much heavier, and you know how the aluminum one kind of not clips closed, but it's not just closed because you flip the lid over the rest of it. You know what I mean? Like there's a little bracket there to kind of hold the cover a little bit more in place. I think the steel ones I have, yeah, I would need sort of an elastic or something to keep it closed if I wanted to put it in a bag and carry it around. Also, on the steel ones, the enamel inside is really like more like cream or ivory. It's not as white as the enamel inside that you find in the aluminum palettes. That makes sense. Now I need to check mine. Give me a minute because I still have the... Yeah, I keep mine too. I mean, you just flatten it and it doesn't take up that much space. And then if you need to, I don't know, you realize you don't like it, you want to sell it, or you want to store it with the information, you can just plop it back in the box. I keep almost all cardboard boxes from... Yeah, I think I tend to do that too with art supplies a lot. Okay, mine is definitely aluminum, and it's made from a single sheet that is pressed. Oh, that makes sense, yeah. I think I'll have to look them up, but I think the steel ones are possibly a bit more aesthetically pleasing in the sense that they're really very simple. The aluminum one has kind of a weird pattern of indent and whatnot. And if the sheet is thick, I think the cost to press it into shape would be expensive, or it might just be that nobody thought about it. I don't know. and realized that people would love. I mean, for the fact that is, it doesn't rust. So there's that. Okay, fine. You cannot put any kind of magnetic stuff on it, but it's a palette with wells, so you're not technically like they don't expect you to be able to put pans in it. That's not the point. Here's as plain as can be. Okay, I'll have to dig up mines. I know that there's a Korean brand also that does a lot of aluminum palettes, I think. I'm pretty sure they're not steel. They would be so heavy if they were. But yeah, now I don't know why we don't have more like tins that are aluminum that could be similarly pressed into shape. Because I doubt that the palettes we get, like the standard ones, with the brackets and everything, I feel like all the parts of those palettes is also a sheet of metal that is pressed into shape, right? Because you have the lid, you have the mixing area, you have the bottom, and then you have the tray and the brackets. And everything in there, except for the thumb ring, is just about the same, like, thickness of metal, basically. They roll the edges of some parts so they're less dangerous, but that's about it. Yeah, I would think so. Yeah, okay, good. And well, I realized, like, if you just look at a soda can, that's a sheet of aluminum. It's definitely much pliable, though it's probably thinner than a pallet metal sheet. So sorry, I had to yawn. It's one of those days. But yeah, that's the thing, though. A pallet made from aluminum wouldn't have to be fancy or anything. It could be very, very simple. What I would love to see is a fully, like, something like brass palette, perhaps. I know that there's already some that exist, but they're very expensive, but like, I wonder if there's some sort of middle ground of something a bit more affordable, but also simple and well made, you know. When you look at the, what's it called? The Fisher something brass palette. Jackson's sell it. And it's quite intricate and, like, sort of designed in a way. But I think what I would personally really, really like to have is a bit like this palette, actually. So, you know, like a palette like this with wells. Sorry. Not necessarily a thumb hole. I don't think I need that, but like you have the palette, you have the lid, but I would like one that is perhaps, but I do it so about this size, sorry. This size here, like half. And then you have more wells here on the other side. And then you have a small lid over it that has like 2 or perhaps 4 mixing wells, like you split it either like in half and then in half, a bit like a bijou box, but that it would be a small folding palette that's sort of travel-ish size. That's what I would love to create if I had the know-how and the materials. Because I do think I prefer wells for paint. But all all the smaller palettes with wells, they're not that small. And I will love a palette that doesn't rust, that is about the size of a 12 half pan tin box. Yeah, because you don't see a lot of novel shapes or even older ones like that in a mortar set. Yeah, I know. You see a lot of wooden ones too, but it's like that's more about owning a very nice object. Like it's more decor than use. Almost bought the slim Schminke one with the 12 half pan. Oh, it is a nice one, but it's just it's still those pesky brackets. And I don't know why they still make those palettes with if you remove the tray with the paints, the bottom has the wells as like extra wells for mixing. But I don't think I've ever seen anyone use the mixing wells that are under the paint tray. Like, ever. So I wish they would start making these tins, but with a sort of flat bottom. Oops. Unpleasant. Schminke has the, the sort of squarish one that you can put, I think it's 18 half pans in it, or 9 full pans. Hey, Sassy Britches, hello! And that one has sort of a flat bottom, but I don't know why that specific model of palette is extra, like, wobbly. Like, I feel like if you try to hold it in your hand, it sort of bends a bit out of shape, and it's not, I don't enjoy using it all that much. I like that one because it has a lot of mixing wells. That's true. The slim one, you mean? Yes, I have 2 of those. Are yours also like... It's like the weight of them is off. It's like the lid and the mixing flap are too heavy for the way the base is constructed. Maybe that's why they do the wells. Perhaps it helps with the sturdiness of the base. But anyway, and I feel like if you kind of pick it up by the bottom part with the tray, it's kind of wonky. It's hard to describe. Just a weird general experience when handling that one. It's even worse if you remove the insert. I really wonder what's the paint that dyed the palette pink. The bottom part too had at least a full well that was like this neon pink color, and then the areas surrounding it also the same kind of pink. And I'm really curious because I don't think a lot of colors would do that nowadays. So I wonder if it's one of those discontinued Winsor & Newton color that possibly had a lot of a dye in it that stained the palette. I only accidentally saw there was a live going on as I was closing tabs at the end of my lunch. I have to run now. See y'all later. Have a good rest of your day, Sassy Britches. Thank you for stopping by. It was nice to say hi. Just need 5 minutes to prep something, but I'll be listening to the TV. Okay, no problem. I'll try to ramble for a bit. But yeah, I still don't know what to do with the exterior of this palette. It's a little bit damaged, as you can see. There's chips, there's a bit of rust, but I really like this color, and I don't think I've found like I don't know if there's a spray that I could get that's a close enough color. Also, it would be a lot of work to remove all the green paint from the bottom, like the second part of this palette. So maybe the first thing I'll do is I'll wait and see next time I'm at the hardware store if they have a suitable, like, similar color, because I would love to keep it this. I quite like this sort of old muted green color. I would totally get a clear one because I love the color. So you would just like spray a clear coat over it. That's an option, or might just leave it as is. I might do some really spot touch-ups on the very rusty bits, especially in the bottom like section. But yeah, I kind of like it too, so I get what you mean. So the interior had to be refinished because it was not usable as it was, but it should be quite easy to just tape off the exterior when it is time to like spray the inside. And I feel like it's a sort of a good middle ground between keeping the original vibe of the thing. I'm going to show you the bottom part so you can see a little bit what I mean, but it's mostly on the inside here and in the corners that there is significant rust damage, and here at this joint here. And I would love to find a way to like make sure that it doesn't get any worse, basically. All right, then there's something I'm gonna do then. Take a pause. Just how am I? Okay, give me brain computing. Okay, so I'm gonna remove the gloves for a second. try to... I think I'm gonna take some paper towel, clean out the exterior, and then perhaps put some protective tape. Because in the process of working on the inside of it, I feel like I'm adding more scratches and crap to the exterior, and I don't want to make it any more damage than it is. So, hold on, let's... Okay, step 1, step 2, paper towel, step 3, water. Water, and then step 4, some painter's tape. Painter's tape. I grabbed the distilled water, just a little bit, because there is quite some dust that's stuck to the outside. Just gonna let it dry a little bit. Right, and I think I'll do the same with the other part of it that I've already worked on, that I very stupidly dropped on the sandpaper pile. Oops. But yeah, like this bottom part also has some really interesting patina and wear. Okay. Okay, so I have the blue is the standard tape. This is, I think the green one is sort of maybe a little bit less sticky. Try the green one. It says general painting for this one, and then for this one, what does it say inside? Multi-purpose painter's tape. Not very helpful. I'm gonna have to tape it off to spray the inside anyway, so it's not like it's a bad idea. Do it anyway. I would think that this tape is not sticky enough to, when it's going to be time to remove it, I don't think I'm going to take off the enamel. Perhaps just a little bit of it, but worst case scenario, I'll have to redo the outside, I guess. So I think that for the cover, I'm gonna tape this piece of paper down instead. Leaving dust everywhere. Alright. Let's try that. So that way it's gonna protect the bottom of it a little bit more. Alright. I just hope that the tape won't make too much of a mess on the bottom part of it. It's painter's tape, like it shouldn't, but you never know. Like, this is a vintage palette. I think there are clear acrylic sprays. I know that I can find the clear spray, but sometimes the issue is that the clear spray, if you put it over the wrong type of paint, it's gonna mess up your paint. But I might just leave it as is. Also, I have, if it's just for some little touch-ups, I have clear hobby enamel paint that I might be able to put in some little areas, like to protect from rust, but keep the original look, you know? I tried looking for a proper, like, touch-up colors for this. You know what? Let me mix this up a little bit. I mean, I'm not that terribly far off, am I? Now, I don't know how it would look dry, but I could easily, like, paint just a little bit on something and compare next to it. But it is quite close, right? At least in the bottle. Also, maybe apply some heat before removing the tape. That's definitely something I'll keep in mind. Depending on how it goes. But also I know, like, that something like speed, angle of tape might make a difference. I'm getting nervous about it, so maybe I should remove it and do something else. So in the places where the paint is already chipped, It's picking up a little bit of it. Don't know if you can kind of see. Yeah, okay, I'll try to find something else. I don't like this. Trash can. I'm kind of impressed that I managed to find a similar color with just my eyeballs. Like, I didn't find any painted swatch of the hobby paint. I didn't have the palette next to me when I was looking it up. Still remove some of the paint. I'm reading on how to preserve the patina on metal, but I'm not finding any good ideas. Yeah, it's really difficult. It's gonna be stuff like perhaps to oil it up, maybe? But I guess that perhaps any... No, wax is definitely not gonna be great with paint. I'll try to just put just a little bit of tape in the areas where the paint is mostly in good shape. So, like, I don't know if you can see, but this edge might have to be cleaned up. It's quite rusty. Yeah, just something so it's protected, and I'll wax, Renaissance wax, beeswax, and clear lacquer. I've heard about clear lacquer, but I think lacquer and enamel, you can't mix them up, I think. Not like make a mix, but you can't layer them, basically. Okay. Sorry about that. Let's get back to the main program. I feel like with patina, it's mostly about leaving the grime on the stuff. So you can't clean it up, and the only way you can sort of preserve it is to find something that won't clean up the grime, basically. But yeah, I think the idea though of spot fixing areas, if it's a bit too noticeable, I could maybe find a way to use if the paint matches up well enough, that's a way I can sort of hide the most visible fixes. And for everything else, I'm just gonna leave it as is. Like it is meant to be like that. Like the paint is supposed to be resilient enough, you know. It's just that this palette is old and was probably not used for a while. If I can, you know, very carefully sand off the rust in the areas that bother me and then put either a clear coat on it or a bit of the green coat on it, I think that might work. And it would be like more interesting to do than having to sand the whole intricate bottom of it. Also, the AI Google search is really annoying me because in searching enamel over metal, I'm getting results for... And it's not gonna get any better. Like, did you see what they are intending to do with Google search? They're basically making it useless. It's time to find a better web search. Have you tried DuckDuckGo? Nope, I haven't. Perhaps it is worth a try then. So what I'm currently doing is usually when I do enough of the sanding of the enamel, I I move to the chisels and I scrape off the paint. This is very satisfying to watch. It is kind of satisfying to do too, I will say. Like to watch the paint like clear out, revealing the shiny metal underneath. I feel a bit like like Baumgartner restoration when they clean up a painting, just less stressful. I would be so afraid to mess up a painting, but with this, shinies, yeah. There's quite a few useful like chisels, and the shapes and the sizes of them are quite nice. So I had one tool before that I would use for everything like that. This like I don't know, sculpting or manicure tool. I'm not sure, but sometimes like the chisel they work. This one is nice because of the curve of the tip. And as you can see, this is sort of a curved area, so it goes quite well. But having the chisels with all of their, angled and flat shapes is also very helpful. Trying to make it somewhat so that you guys can see. So it is kind of slow work, but it's also very not, I don't know how to say it, not necessarily reliable, but it's like, it's a process, right? And at some point, if you just follow the process and go through each step, you get to the end result of having a workable palette, which is great. Once I've scraped off all the paint, it's just about sanding with various grits until it is smooth enough, and then I protect what I don't want to spray paint with the white paint and spray paint. Do a couple of coats, I buff between the coats, I do another coat, and then it's basically done. Now it's going really fast, you can see the progress. Yeah, it's like the first step of like sort of removing the extra enamel or the extra paint takes a bit of time, and then the sanding step after this one takes a bit of time. But this scraping off the old paint step is really rewarding. I feel like if you're the type of person that enjoys like removing knots from yarn and sorting out things, this would be your favorite part as well. This is definitely the best part. why I like to remove, like to sort of sand some of the enamel off in the first place, is that when it comes to this step now, I don't have to press super hard to scrape off the paint that's left, and that means that there's less chance of me leaving deep gouges in the metal or something. So yeah, this step, the scraping off, it removes like most of the paint. And then with the sanding, it removes the little bits that I missed. That are usually like really tiny small fragments. There's only in the like corners that sometimes there's a little bit more that's left. And as most of this enamel or paint is white inside palettes, sometimes it's a bit hard to see. So you kind of have to change the angle, change the lighting and all of that, but yeah. It is working really well. It is, it is. I'm glad I, finding efficient ways to work on these. For some palettes, I was able to scrape off a lot of the enamel by softening with the alcohol. I don't know if it was like enamel per se or another type of finish or lacquer or whatever, but I'm thinking that if it was softened by alcohol, maybe it was lacquer. Either way, it was practical at the time because it made kind of a paste that I could scrape off, and it would make a lot less dust. I don't like stuff that makes a lot of dust, but then with this protective casing and all the trays and the systems that I have figured out, it makes handling the dust much easier. Like my workspace doesn't end up being a mess of dust. It's mostly contained in here, and I can quite easily clean it up. So it's multiple factors that allow like the improvements to happen in the way, in the method of cleaning these up. both lacquer and enamel paints react with alcohol. You used isopropyl alcohol or regular alcohol? I used the 99% isopropyl alcohol. I was curious about it because like there's some palettes that I wanted to clean up, but I had sprayed them once with the white spray that I used, and I was a bit wary of the alcohol I used to clean these would affect that paint, but it didn't seem to have affected it, not significantly anyway. So that's good. And I like to use alcohol to clean these just before going out to paint them, because the alcohol evaporates. So there's less moisture that is potentially left behind, and you don't want to have any kind of moisture in there. Yeah, that should have worked. It did. It did melt the old paint enamel. Now, perhaps my spray paint is something a bit different, so that's why it didn't really affect it. But also, I used a really thin coat. I didn't let it sit in there like. In the lab, when we want to quick dry glassware, we use acetone. Oh, that's clever. Yeah, because it's glassware. It's not plastic, so you're fine. I know that acetone, I don't think it melts every single plastic out there, but it's a really clever thing to use to clean up glass. Maybe because we can get pure acetone than IPA. Maybe. IPA is a... Is that what you wrote? The IPA. I think it's a denomination here for artisan-made beers. Probably in French, IPA. I think maybe. So that's kind of extra funny. So isopropyl alcohol. Oh, IPA. Okay, so it's just the English abbreviation. In French, it would be alcohol isopropylique. So it would be AIP. Yeah. Don't drink this kind of IPA, kids. Seriously. So, if I remember correctly, a piece of local lore that I'm pretty sure has overlap with other places, but I live in Quebec. Our main language is French, but particular, like the French of Quebec is particular in its vernacular and whatnot. And we have sort of a slang word that's Robin, like Batman and Robin, but it's Robin in French. And if I remember correctly, the history of this term is that it's used to talk about the types of alcoholic beverages that homeless people would make from rubbing alcohol. So it got called Robin because of the rubbing in rubbing alcohol. And I was like, oh, that's kind of sad. Like, it took me a while to sort of realize that, and I was like, oh, that's really sad. Yikes. But yeah, so like you could hear people talk about de la robine, you know, like kind of a slang, old school word, and I was like, where does it come from? And one day it dawned on me. I was like, oh, because packaging here is always in French and in English mostly. So it's written rubbing alcohol. So they call that the robine. Sad lore from Quebec. Do we have interesting, like perhaps a bit more cheerful lore from Quebec? So we are the French Canadian. We are the French province of Canada, and it's mostly because our ancestors sort of are from France, while the rest of the country has English people as ancestors. So we have French, but that also means that English was always quite present, and it would make for some really peculiar words in French, like in the time of my grandparents or older than that, where they would sort of take an English word but write it as you would write it, how the sounds sound in French. So there's a bunch of weird old expressions we have that are basically just English words but written down by the sounds in French. And a few of them are swear words, a few of them are like expressions, like, you know, never mind. Well, that became nevermind in old Quebec French. And I remember looking through my grandma's recipe books, and she had one of those books that was like, the newlywed woman's book of cooking in French, you know, that kind of stuff. And it was full of recipes, like old school recipes, but also room for writing her own recipes. And it would often be times that she would get from other people in the villages and whatnot, in the village and whatnot. And she had a couple recipes that she wrote down where instead of writing flour in French is farine, but flour, the word in English, kind of looks, and I mean sounds like, it sounds like flower, the bloom from a plant. But also, if you write down flour, it looks like the French word for a flower, fleur. So my grandma has recipes in French that it's like 2 cups of fleur, de la fleur, in her recipes. So I think that's really funny. Like that, there's a bunch of stuff like that when you look at it like now, it takes a good moment to figure it out with where it came from. Like why is she putting fleur in her recipe? And you're like, oh, I guess it's farine. Oh, it's flour. And probably that they read flour like flour on the packs of flour, because it was in French and in English, and it became de la fleur. So yeah, that kind of stuff. Like there's a bunch of really peculiar things that come from the weird context of Quebec being French speaking, but also having a very strong English presence always. That is so cute. And it is kind of funny, right? It is like inoffensive in any case. There's quite a few like things like that we don't really have as much nowadays because they got lost over time. But when you read sort of books that were written a decent time ago, or like old recipe books and whatnot, that kind of stuff, some of the ingredients or some of the measurements are really funny. It's a bummer that the book is in French. Otherwise, I would take pictures and I would send you the recipe just for a laugh, or to like because you like cooking. So I think you might get a kick out of old French Canadian recipes for the stay-at-home mom, you know. A lot of lard, a lot of potatoes, meat. Oh, I can read some French and even have some cooking books in French. Oh, I'll check it out then. I'll see if I can find some like particular ones that could be more like interesting. And it's something that I've told myself that I should really do to get these recipes at least like somewhere out there. Because it's an old book. Like my grandma, she got married like I don't remember what year. Do I even know what year? But it's gotta be after World War II. That kind of time period. So it's really interesting to see the old recipes from the little villages and stuff like that. Anyway, I get a kick out of it. And yes, I want to learn French because of cooking. I mean, why not? That's an incentive like any other. And it would be useful in French because indeed there's a lot of French cuisine, French words used in all types of cuisine. And it's kind of funny to see those French words getting massacred when spoken by someone who might not be aware that something is actually French. All right, so I'm gonna end the stream here. I need to take a break anyway. Stretch. I also watch YouTube videos in French, cooking videos, obviously. I mean, it's relevant. It would be like, you know, if you want to know what the colors of paint are like in French, well, what's the point of learning everything else? You start there and you figure it out as you go. Yeah. Yeah, the French massacre thing really bothers me. Oh, what? Souffle and étouffée and vicious Suisse. I know I get the cringe at times because I'm like, oof. What was that? Well, thank you for the company as well. Thank you everyone who lurked in the background. I really appreciate it, even if you don't have to actively participate, but it was fun to do this. And I want to keep going at it, but I know I need to take a break because I'm gonna get all sorts of like issues. And people saying, I'm waiting for the French word that gets massacred. That's how I pronounce it. Which word? Vichyssoise? Oh, people saying that's just how I pronounce it. I mean, yeah, that's how you pronounce it, and that's the issue. You know? That's not the sound these letters make. It's not a good excuse. Oh, no problem, no problem. All right. All right. Any French word. Fair. I agree. So, bye guys. See ya all possibly on Saturday, but it could be earlier than usual. I'll let you guys know. Thanks again. Have a great day and see ya in the next one. Bye bye.